So I think a lot of people are gonna think that I hate this show, but that's not true though. Now don't get me wrong though, I still like the show, but I'm starting to really hate all the characters, especially after what they did with Mira. So we have Mira here, and she's the master of the Moonlight Sword style, but the only problem is it's a terrible technique, and I can prove it too. So when Mira was fighting Mission was able to pretty much block all of Mira's attacks, and it wasn't until Mira dropped her swords that she was able to beat Mission. The same thing happened with Masiek, and the same thing happened this episode when she was fighting her groom. So I think we can agree that the Moonlight Sword style is just a terrible technique. If you have to drop your sword to actually do damage, you would think it'd be the other way around, right? And the show really tries to make me feel bad for her because it's her dad's legacy, and on top of that, her uncle failed miserably at actually being good at it. But I don't really blame the uncle because let's admit it, it's just a terrible technique. He didn't fail. The uncle didn't fail because he was terrible. He failed because the technique was terrible. I mean, think about it. The only person that was good at the moon sword style was Mira's dad, and that's only from what we heard. There's no real proof that he was actually good. He didn't have any students. He didn't have any disciples. He didn't have anything. We're just here supposed to believe that he was just the best at it. You would think if it was a good ability, somebody would actually come looking for it. You would hear about this crazy new martial arts style, but I think it was just a hoax. Let me put it this way. Let's say I invented a new sword style, or a new technique, let's say, and I called it the windmill, and I was able to beat up my dog pretty much every single time. Then I come up to my kid and tell him that I was undefeated using the windmill technique. And then they just grow up believing that. And then it comes to a point where I die, but I forgot to tell my kid that my sword style was actually a joke. And then they grow up trying to perfect it, even though it's just like a meme technique. That's what I feel happened to Mira here, which is kind of hilarious. So on top of all of that, I'm supposed to feel bad for Mira because she's also poor, and I don't think the anime did a really good job of portraying this. In the anime, they show that she wants to hang out with people, but she can't because she's poor. And as someone who grew up poor, you don't need to spend money to have friends. You can just go out there and just order water or something. That's what I did. Like, I don't see the reason. Like, you don't have to go to Starbucks and buy a coffee to be with your friends. Just tell them you want water. But that's just me. And maybe it's different nowadays and everyone's just superficial. They'll just make fun of you for being poor, but I don't get why I'm supposed to feel bad for Mira just because she can't afford a Starbucks. I don't know. Maybe it's just different cultures though, but I think maybe in Korea they look down on you for being poor. It's still hard to feel bad for it just because they have Dewey in the show and Dewey's just working all the time. Like, I'm supposed to believe that Mira is a really hard worker when all she does is do the laundry on the weekends. And then they have this scene where I guess Mira was trying to buy clothes for her little sister, but she couldn't afford any because she only has money she found in the couch. But I don't really get why I'm supposed to feel sorry when Dewey's still working like 3 different jobs every single day. Okay, but then we get to the wedding, and again, the show's trying to make me feel bad for Mira, like if she's the one being victimized here. I don't really get why. I mean, she's doing this out of her own free will. Nobody's making her do it. Her uncle didn't say anything, but he also didn't stop her, so he's not really a good person here. Instead, she feels she has to gold dig her way up and have her husband maintain her whole family for the rest of their lives. Which is crazy, right? Imagine you go to Vegas, right? And you meet this girl, and this girl's like, she's the love of your life. She's love at first sight, right? And then you want to marry her. And right before you guys get married, she tells you, oh, by the way, you gotta take care of my whole family for the rest of our life. Now, luckily for Mira, this guy actually wanted to do that, but then she punches him in the balls by just denying him last minute. I mean, he already paid for the wedding. You like, they're about to tie the knot. You like, all that money is wasted. All that money on security and the cake and the venue, you like all down the drain. I mean, look at how many guards he had here. And I get that he's a bad guy, but he didn't do anything wrong for all they know. He just wanted a wedding. But he's also dumb because he just wanted the sword. I don't know why he thought she had to marry her just to get the sword, but he could have just bought it. I mean, at the end, you see him running away with the sword and Mira didn't care. I mean, he could have just used the fat stack he used for the wedding and given it to Mira for the sword. Then that would have solved Mira's money problems and he would have just got the sword legally. Instead, it felt like we just got a 20-minute filler that just wasted our time. But that's okay though. We got Dewey's arc. And now I like Dewey. I really like Dewey. I think he's my favorite character right now. And I know he only got like 3 minutes at the end of this episode, but I think that's all the time he really needed. As a man of few words, I think that those 3 minutes at the end of the episode really shows what he's about. He's a quiet guy. I mean, nobody even knows he has a boyfriend that's dying of cancer in the hospital. You're like, I don't think anybody even cares about him. And when you have Mira's story and Dewey's story right next to each other, it really emphasizes Dewey's rage at the end of the episode. But that's all I really have to say about it. He's a man of few words and he's pretty straightforward, unlike Mira. But I'm pretty happy with the last 3 minutes of the show. I don't know. But I'll see you.